G'day, welcome to this series investigating Jesus Christ. Together we will explore the life of the most amazing person who ever lived, Jesus Christ of Nazareth. We are now in episode 18. In our last episode, we looked at who Jesus taught, and we have also seen previously what it was that Jesus taught. Today, we start to look in more detail about what Jesus taught others about himself and who he really was. Reading from Exodus chapter 3, verses 13 to 14. But Moses protested, "If I go to the people of Israel and tell them, 'The God of your ancestors has sent me to you,' they will ask me, 'What is his name?' Then what should I tell them?" God replied to Moses, "I am who I am. Say this to the people of Israel, 'I am has sent me to you.'" Now reading from Isaiah chapter 41, verse 4. "Who has done such mighty deeds, summoning each new generation from the beginning of time? It is I, the Lord, the first and the last. I alone am he." And from John chapter 8, verses 56 to 59. "Your father Abraham rejoiced as he looked forward to my coming. He saw it and was glad." The people said, "Jesus, you aren't even 50 years old. How can you say you have seen Abraham?" Jesus answered, "I tell you the truth. Before Abraham was even born, I am." At that point, they picked up stones to throw at him, but Jesus was hidden from them and left the temple. In his Gospel, John records separate statements of Jesus, where Jesus said, "I am." These written statements are completely unique to the historical account written by John, and they are not recorded in the other three Gospels. With these statements of "I am," Jesus is reinforcing his claims to be God. How so? Because when Jesus says, "I am," Jesus is deliberately referring back into Jewish history, to the time when God revealed himself as the I am, to Moses in Exodus chapter 3, and then also, as we read, through the prophet Isaiah in Isaiah chapter 41. That's why in John chapter 8 verse 59, the crowd picked up stones to kill Jesus for blasphemy. This was in accordance, as they thought, with Deuteronomy chapter 13, which dictates that anyone who tries to turn people away from the living God was to be stoned to death. They knew that Jesus was claiming to be the very God they thought they worshipped. And so on to our first "I am" statement. Reading from John chapter 6. "I am the living bread which came down from heaven. If anyone eats of this bread, he will live forever. This bread is my flesh, which I will give for the life of the world." John chapter 6, verse 35, 48, and 51. 3 times here, Jesus refers to himself as the living bread. By this, he meant that he was the only one who could gratify the appetite and yearning of every person's spirit. For those he was speaking to, bread was a basic staple food for living, just as it is for millions of people today. Jesus indicates when saying this, that he is the bread of life, that he will supply all needs. When Jesus referred to the manna in the desert, John chapter 6 verse 49, he talked of being merely temporary, despite being a gift from God. He, however, as the true bread of life, would give permanent satisfaction and everlasting life to all those who would believe and follow him. John chapter 6 verse 51. But this bread he offers must be eaten, and it must be taken up by the person wanting spiritual life. Note the inference to his impending sacrifice on the cross at the end of John chapter 6, verse 51. Jesus Christ was fully focused on his mission, the purpose of his being here. That's it for this week. Next week, we continue looking at who Jesus said that he was. And come back every day to Partakers Podcasts to learn more about how you can live as a disciple of Jesus Christ in the 21st century. See you later.